So, the past couple of days, I've been thinking about something that I don't think a lot of other people have thought about. I haven't seen very many people, like, discuss this topic, so I'm going to do it, because that's what I do here on BASSFZz. For those of y'all who don't know how to pronounce my channel username, it's not BASSFZz, or BASSFZz, or BASSFZz. It's BASSFZz. Anyhow, now this all started with the Facebook post, okay? I saw it, and the Facebook post was, I can't remember exactly what it said, but I can remember the gist. And the gist was a single mother saying that if the guy that she's trying to date now does not accept the fact that her child is her number one priority, then they cannot be in a relationship together. And I remember reading that and thinking to myself, well, that shit would stand to reason. That seems that would be exactly how that thing would work. But the more I thought about it, the more I thought about the tone of the post and the tone of the people repeating the post and like agreeing with this single mother on her sentiment. Because on the surface, even in a deeper, more complex level, this would stand to reason that you could not have a relationship with someone that like doesn't accept your child or like doesn't want to be a father to your kid. Like, I get that. That makes total sense. You're not wrong. Except, it's just the tone that kind of fucks with me. And I know I sound like a woman when I say this, when I talk about tone and delivery, but I want people to like really think and consider just how much of a tall order that is. That is asking so much from someone that you're trying to date. Like, you gotta, like, here's the thing, like, the tone of, you don't deserve me, you know, if you can't accept my child, is one of indignation and one of arrogance and a great degree of pride. And it's a tone that I don't think should exist given what you have asked of that person. Because asking someone to become the father of your child is not a small order. It's just not. It's just, there's no other way to put it. Like, you cannot be indignant to something like that. You can't besmirch or think less of someone like that. Someone that analyzes the situation, that is dating you, means I'm gonna have to be a father to your child at some point in time. Because either we stay together and we get married and then we have our own children, and thus I have to adopt this one here, or I invest time in you and this child, because I don't see how I could date this woman and not invest in her child if she's a single mother. I don't see how I could separate those two factors and then eventually break up with you and said child. Like, you got to think about this one. Like, there's lots of layers to this. That's on my layer number one. You asking me to take responsibility for something that's not mine. I have no obligation to this. And I don't want to hear any of the BS that a single mother's not asking for that. Like, because I don't see how she couldn't be. I don't see how you could be a single mother or be a single parent at all. Like, this, if a woman was the same way, like, don't misunderstand me. Like, if a woman was like, look, man, I didn't sign up to be a mother to your kid, I'm not going to be mad at that woman. I'm not going to be indignant. Oh, well, you don't deserve me because you can't. I'm going to be like, you know what? Honestly, I understand. Because you don't have any obligation, nor any responsibility, nor any authority over a child that's not yours. Like, you just don't. It's not yours. Like, you can't tell that child what to do, what not. It's not your child. You don't, especially if the child's other parent is there in their life and present. Like, you damn, like, who the hell are you? Like, that, even the child, my friend, especially if they're like 5 years old, older, you know, 10, whatever, like, even they would be like, who is this mystery man coming into my life trying to tell me what to do? I don't know you, nigga, leave me alone, I have a dad. Like, they don't care about you. And you wanna know how I know they won't care about you? I'll tell you exactly how I know that kid in no scenario is gonna, like, respect this random person their mom is dating. I'll tell you how I know. Because I was that kid, nigga. I didn't give a shit about who my mom was dating. He wasn't my dad. I don't care about that guy. I don't give a shit. I don't care. That's how it was. I know I'm exuding so much passion, but this shit is just so crazy to me. I was a kid. Now my mom like never introduced any guy like to live with us or anything like that, which I'm grateful for, because if she did, again, I wouldn't have given a damn about this guy. I would not have given a fuck about this guy. I'm just being real. I'm just being real. It's not nice, but I'm being real, because I had a dad, and I love my dad, and I wanted to see my dad. I didn't want some other guy to come in and try to replace him, because he would, ipso facto, would have had to have tried to do it, and I don't want to deal with that. Think about that movie. That movie, what's his name? Will Ferrell and Mark Wahlberg. Like, what, it was called Daddy's Home. Where, like, literally, like, that's the most exaggerated form of a step parent competing for the affection of the prior children of a different relationship, obviously for comedic effects. But I mean, like, in real nigga shit time, that's what someone would be doing if the father of the actual, like, if the actual father of those kids was still present in that relationship or in that environment. He'd have to be competing in order to get that authority and that respect. And I'm gonna be real with you, man. That's just not some shit I think a nigga would want to deal with. Now, let's assume that the father just skipped out. He's gone. Goodbye. Or, God forbid, that he died. Like, if the father died, here, I actually do think that's a little different. If the father died, like, from, like, horrible circumstance, like some accident or even in combat and war, I think that this would reflect a lot differently on said single mother. I really do, because then she'd be a widower, and it doesn't reflect a lack of her ability to commit, more so just the unfortunate circumstances of life. I do think that she could form a relationship or a commitment with someone. I do think that that's different. However, if this woman broke up with this man after she had a child, that either means he was a really bad person, and thus it was better for her to break up with him, or she has really terrible decision-making skills because she picked this bad nigga to be with, and then she decided to not have the nigga in her kid's life anymore. That don't bode well for a relationship, my niggas. That don't bode well for a good look on her. And that's something I don't think a lot of these women, like, think about or consider. Just the perception of this, man. Like, it's crazy to me, man. Another thing I think we should all consider, and I'm not saying that this is the way it should be. I'm not saying that this is the way I want it to be, or that you know, that it's not bad, but I do think it's something that we should think about, and that is the perception that is a single man dating a single woman. Like, no matter what, wrong or right, like, that man is gonna look like he's taking an L. Like, the perception of that is, and maybe you shouldn't care about the perception or anything, but I do think that it is important to consider that it's gonna look like he has settled in life, or that he has accepted quite the raw deal. It's gonna look like the only woman that he could get, the only woman that he could date, is a woman that has been broken down by all of the shitty men in her life. So he's not even her first choice. So much that he's not her first choice, that now he has to raise a child of another man that the single mother herself usually besmirches and says is a bad guy. That's gonna, no matter what, that nigga is gonna look like he took an L. And that's a perception that I don't think a lot of single mothers have considered, that you would be asking a man to take, to look like a fool. Because maybe he's not. He might not be a fool. He might genuinely just be like, you know what, man, I love this kid, I want to raise him. He might. But no matter what, just the perception of that is always going to make him look like an L. Again, I'm not talking about some guy that had kids of his own, got a divorce, and, you know, dated another one with kids. I'm talking about a single man who didn't have anyone, couldn't find anyone to date, and he ends up with her. That's just gonna look like he's just desperate to have somebody, and it might be wrong, but that's what it looks like. And you're asking some guy to take that social perception in, and again, I think you're asking for a lot. Because there's another thing that I was thinking about. Okay, first of all, look, let me be clear. I'm not saying that I don't think that a man should, like, never step in and, like, raise a child that isn't his. Like, I know it's obvious cuckoldry, like, by definition of the word, but I do think that a great degree of respect should be given to a man who, like, actually, like, wants to, like, raise and help a child because he understands their plight of not having a father. Because, to be honest with you, not having a father causes a lot of problems for men and women. Like, it really does, and I get that. You know, but there's a couple of things. Like one thing I want to highlight here, because I was thinking about this, right? that even though I don't think that no one should date a single mother, I just think that they're asking for a lot and they're not realizing just what they're asking for. Because again, like if you're gonna put a post where you're saying that you can't accept that my kid's coming first, you gotta realize you're asking for someone to accept that they're gonna be second to you. And they may not want that. Be real with you. They may not want to deal with that. And to be indignant to something that I think is totally reasonable, I don't think it's fair. Here's another thing to consider. This is some real shit right here. I have had, 3 dogs growing up, right? One was a puppy that my mom decided she didn't want to take care of anymore, so she gave it to the Humane Society. And the second one, unfortunately, he died. Well, he wasn't a puppy, but I mean, like, he was a small dog, and he died. Now, I cried about both these. I'm not gonna lie, I cried about both these dogs. I'm not gonna bullshit nobody. I did. Like, they're very painful experiences. Having a dog, like, take it from me as a puppy, and, like, having the dog, like, die. Now, that sucked. That really sucked. And I realized in those moments, man, like, I could not lose a child. I couldn't do it. I couldn't fucking do it. I could not. I know in my heart and in my soul, if I could feel this emotional connection for a dog, I don't know what I'd do with myself if I invested in some other woman's child and God, like, we broke up with each other. Like, that would fuck me up 6 ways to Sunday. Because, like, and I just don't understand why these women aren't thinking about that shit. Like, imagine I do this. I probably wouldn't. But let's say I do this. Let's say I'm like let's say this is a perfect scenario here, right? Where I would do this shit. Where her husband unfortunately died. So she was married, so I know she can commit. Fortunately, he died. The child is young. I'd say probably about 2 years old, right? Because I'm not doing it if the kid is like thinking and talking. I'm definitely not touching that. He's 2 years old. He's a baby, right? So at least he imprints to me in some capacity, right? Let's say we do all that. There is no guarantee I'll stay with this woman because we're not married. And even if we were married, we'd still get a divorce. And as a MGTOW, you guys already know how messed up the divorce laws are. So just on that alone, my niggas, there's no guarantee I can stay with this woman. Imagine me investing in a child I have no obligation to. So this is already just from the goodness of my heart. This is already as selfless as one can be. I'm investing in a kid, not just money, time, love, commitment, and a child that's not mine. And something happens between me and their mother and we break up. I just lost my child. That's, for all intents and purposes, that was my child. I didn't birth him. Like, it wasn't my sperm, not my DNA, but that was my commitment, and that's gone now. And you expect, let's be fucking real. These single mothers expect a nigga to go into that shit knowing that I could lose my kid that's not actually even mine, and I'm supposed to be fucking okay with that shit? I'm supposed to take that fucking shit on the chin? Are you kidding me? Like, again, I'm not saying that no man should ever do this. I'm not saying that. But what I am saying is, how can you be that arrogant as a single mother to say some shit like that? Like, to make a post like you should accept, like, you are asking me to invest in a kid. You are asking me to accept that this kid may leave my life at some point in time. You're asking me to raise this kid like I don't have my own life? Like, I don't want to have children on my own? Like, this isn't a big deal? Come on. I think, and I don't know, man. I just think single mothers are asking a lot. I really do. Like, it's one thing if you're a single father and you have kids of your own and you try to, like, integrate, like I don't want to say, like, broken family. I mean, it would be kind of broken. And you want to integrate, like, a family like that. That seems a hell of a lot more reasonable to me. But to be a single father, and this is the same thing for any woman as well. Like, I'm saying single mother because that was the post. I've actually never seen a single father ever mirror this sentiment before, or mirror this indignation, I have to say, of people not wanting to date them or, like, accept their children from a prior relationship. But let's just assume that there are some who are like that. Okay, under that assumption, like, a woman is the same. It's not really so much gendered. It's just, you know, the perception of what I saw and what I'm commenting on. Let's say it's all that. What I have to say, man, at the end of the day, I get anyone that doesn't want to date a single mother. I really do. Because I don't think that that is an obligation that you should be forced or that you should be guilted into taking. I think is a very serious thing. And I do think that these children who unfortunately do lose their fathers in some way, whether their mother's in a bad relationship or their father died, does need someone in their lives. I'm not saying that you shouldn't date these women, but what I am saying, I think more what I'm saying is from the woman. I guess what I'm saying to the women is that, like, you gotta reevaluate, like what you're asking from a man, like, to come step in and do. And I don't think a lot of women are really considering what they're asking for. That's a tall order. And again, I'm not saying that no one should do it. Some of you might call me a cuck for that. And call me a cuck, nigga. But let's be real. Children do need their fathers. Like, they do need some male in their life. They really do. They need men. Like, men are so very important. So I don't want to, like, put out a message to make it to, like, you never want to do this, or there's never any scenario where you should step in and, like, father a child. But again, there is a lot of gravity to that. And I don't think that a single mother should have the area. I think if anything, if you become a single mother, I think that should humble you. Probably, you should be pretty humble. I think that if anything should humble you, that should be it. Because now you got to think about, like, how is my child gonna grow up without a dad? Like, how's my child gonna learn how to be a man? How's my daughter gonna learn how to relate to men without that strong father figure in her life? That's a tall order you're asking. I mean, you're asking a lot. And so I think that that's something that definitely should be considered, that I don't see a lot of people considering. So, I mean, this video, I was very passionate in this video, man, because I just don't see this shit talked about enough, I think. So, I mean, I'm just really passionate about the fact that a lot of kids grow without their dads. Like, that really does bother me. And the topic in general just kind of gets to me. So, I apologize for that. So, with that being said, man, I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. And if you did, and go and click that like button. Yeah, shoot, go and click that whoop subscribe button. Comment in the comments below. As always, you guys have yourselves a great day. And I'll see you cool cats soon. Adios.